Medics in Costa Mesa. That's where we were living, in Costa Mesa, California. And they're looking for a research and development laboratory technician. They gave me a job. They put me in the research lab, and I was inventing ideas all day long. I just loved it because I like to invent simple ways of doing hard things.
And was O's car working there too?
No. I told some friends about this and what I was doing, and he said, well, come to our group. We've got a group here called Understanding. It was created by a gentleman by the name of Daniel Fry in California. We could talk about things that were unlimited, not limited. I said, my mission is to see that we have habitation and transportation in one vehicle. And he said, well, you sound like a guy that's back east getting in trouble right now. His name is Otis Carr. And he put in a patent for a levitation device, and they wouldn't give him the patent. He said, you've got to pull that levitation out and anchor it on the ground, and we'll give you a patent on an amusement device. You cannot use levitation. They brought him out to California. They said, here's your lab. It was all built. It had living quarters. It had machine shops. It had a suite.
Did y'all just hear what he just said?
He had to pull the levitation out of the design so he could get the patent.
Yeah,
that's messed up.
Yeah, they like, dude, we ain't about to give you no patent for no levitation thing and have people out here thinking that levitation is possible or knowing that levitation is possible. Then, because with a patent, all you do is copy someone's patent. Like, so if you, in order to not violate someone's patent, all you do is just change it a little bit, and then you can resubmit a patent. So there's like there's a gang of patents where, you know what I'm saying, where somebody made it something, and then there's like 20 other patents where all they did was change it slightly and create a different patent. So at that point, where if this dude had created something called a levitation device, and people went and saw that patent, they would just copy the patent, switched up something here and there. We'd be floating. We'd be the Jetsons right now.
Everybody would have seen the blueprint down there.
Yeah, everybody would have seen the blueprint. So we'd be the Jetsons right now. That's what I'm saying. That's why they had to nah, nigga, we can't put that on. No. We're going to put an amusement device. Like, what the fuck is amusement? What the fuck?
Right, totally distract you from even thinking real. Like, it's just a cartoon. Like,
exactly. Completely take you off from, nigga. If you a nigga who's looking for levitation devices and you saw that amusement device, you're going to keep flipping past that patent and you're going to keep on moving. That's what they were trying to do.
Most of your work, I imagine. This is where you guys worked on the spaceship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long did it take to develop this crap?
Day and night, 24/7, we were building these small prototypes. And they would range anywhere from 12 inches to 3 feet to 6 feet, to, in size.
And they actually flew. They actually levitated.
Oh, yeah.
What was the source of the power?
Well, it was magnetic in nature. And
you were actually building these for people to see it. I mean, not just models.
These were prototypes just to prove what we wanted, and then graduate up to where human habitation could get on board and operate.
If you could explain to us very simply how this device, how these craft work.
In those days, we had counter-rotating wheels, one going clockwise and another going counterclockwise. We had a capacitor, we had small magnets, and we had what's called a U-tron. It was a double tetrahedron. That's 2 ice cream cones put with the open ends together. So that you...
Now, I want to see what y'all remember. A couple of weeks ago, when we were going over Face of the Dragon, and how they put your story in these different shows and TV shows. And I showed you guys Land of the Lost. What do you guys remember from Land of the Lost that equates to what he's talking about right now?
The talking sea stack, the first one that had the red on with the sequins or whatever that was, with the diamond-shaped necklace that had basically, it was a diamond or triangle on top and a triangle on bottom.
Just like what he just said.
Yeah.
There you go.
The diamond shape. What's called a U-tron. It was a double tetrahedron. That's 2 ice cream cones put with the open ends together so that you have a diamond shape. And we had 12 of them around the periphery of the craft. And we had magnets, horseshoe magnets, 12 of those around the craft. So when you started rotating and counter-rotating, as these neutrons went through the field, they would act as a generator and a capacitor in themselves, and they would generate a lot of power, not necessary electrical power, but vibrational power. When you get to the resonant frequency of your surroundings, it cancels everything out. It goes to a 0 point. And once you reach 0 point, then you can go anywhere you want. And
Did y'all hear that?
Yep. Once you get to that 0 point, it cancels everything out, and you can go wherever the hell you want to.
When it reached a resonant frequency with its surroundings, everything around you vibrates and has frequency. When this thing reached a resonant frequency with its surroundings, it reached 0 point, meaning no gravity, and it was able to do anything, go off floating.
Like calibrated damn near.
Wait, say it again?
Like being calibrated damn near. Right. Like once you're calibrated with the universe or whatever. Like
right.
If you reach 0 point, then you can go anywhere you want. And you have your own force field around the craft.
You control its up and down and left and right movements by how fast it spins or other gyros in there?
Yeah, the ones with the models we had remotes, to operate the models. But when you get up into the larger craft, it's not necessary, because everything then, as Carr was explaining, the difference between the brain and the mind is synergetic. You operate the craft like it was a friend. It's like it was a living thing, because
connect with the craft.
Yes, and that's the only way that our particular craft would work.
There's a mental.
Hey, Kev, I got a question.
Wow.
Yep.
Real quick, when he says that, like the brain and the mind, would that be equivalent to dark matter and dark energy? Like your mind being the energy potential and the okay, work.
Thoughts carry out a vibration as well, and you have to go in harmony with the ship.
So some sort of morphogenic field was created, perhaps some sort of almost living field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ralph, have you had a chance to fly it yourself?
Flying is an antiquated word when it comes to the type of spaceships that we were operating, because they don't conventionally fly.
Or levitate.
They levitate and they teleport. They move through this thing called time and space. They actually traverse through multi-dimensions.
So you created an artificial gravity field, is it safe to say?
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
Is this in any way related to the work of John Hutchinson and his anti-gravity experiments?
Well, it's along the same lines. I know John, he's an associate of our group. And as I mentioned before, there's all forms of levitation. But where ours differs from John's is that in order to operate our craft, it takes spirit. It takes a synergy. You have to recognize the craft as an entity of life itself. It has a consciousness, if you will, of its own. What John is doing is wonderful. I'm glad he's discovered a tremendous field of levitation and the composition of metal and manicular structures.
Ralph, can you tell us about your experience as being the co-pilot of one of these discs?
Sure. The next stage up was the 45-foot craft. They had already designed and built it, and they wanted us to test it. So we got on board, and near the center of the craft was a giant crystal ball in a kind of a gyroscopic holder. Underneath that was a laser that came up through the bottom of this crystal. And as the light came up and dispersed around this crystal, it lit up the crystal from infrared all the way around to ultraviolet. And then Carr said, okay, guys, what I want you to do is just clear your brain and use your mind. So this is an experiment. And we're going to go outside and back in through what's known as time and space. And all you have to do is concentrate on what I'm about to tell you. We're going to go down range 10 miles. And that 10 miles downrange is equated to the vibratory rate of the color aquamarine. The colors just kind of dissolved and started turning into this brilliant aquamarine. And it lit up the whole ship. And then he said, okay, that's it, boys. get out of the craft and we're going to debriefing. And we looked at each other like, oh, I don't think it worked. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't do anything. And we said, well, it didn't work, did it? They said, why don't you guys empty your pockets? And we started pulling out sticks and stones and grass and stuff and putting them on the table. And I know we didn't have those going in. And where in the heck did this come from? And he said, well, you remember I told you about the brain has a limited capacity. It cannot believe beyond its jurisdiction. It doesn't want to believe anything beyond that. So you travel with your mind, and it will come back to you, and then all these dots will be filled in as your life progresses. You'll remember what you did. It was, in retrospect, I did go back now, and I do remember going and getting out of the craft. There was 3 of us. We walked down this ramp. We got out and we went over to a little hillside. I can see it right now. We picked up rocks and sticks, put them in our pockets, and we got back on board. I remember it now, but I didn't remember it then.
It sounds like this technology is something that we have to be spiritually advanced enough to be able to use it.
And Carr explained that as higher consciousness. He said, you've got to raise the consciousness.
When you were operating this disc, did you notice or were you told that anything changed as far as the structure of the craft?
There's a consistent expansion and contraction. It's almost so instantaneous that it's unnoticeable. And in one of the smaller demonstrations, we had a small model, aluminum model, and I could hear this hum, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful feeling while this thing was running, and I was touching it, and then it got more and more intense, and then I found like it was jello, and I could put my fingers on it like jello on it. I looked at the other guys, and then I put my fingers inside this aluminum with my hand. I said, this is impossible, but I'm doing this. And I put it in and out of the craft. And Carr was over there because he said, yeah, I said, your energy, and that's energy. And when you understand that, and you get a harmonic with energy, you get a balance, you can do anything. There's no limit. So,
what did he just say?
A harmony and a balance, and when you get that level, you can do anything.
There's no limit.
Huh? There's no limit. Once you're able to reach a resonant harmony balance,
You're limitless.
huh?
You're limitless.
Yes. So we got some more stuff to get to. Man, we only got a little bit of time. Let me try to squeeze it in. Let's see.
next day, he had another model, and we put it up, but he was going to accelerate beyond. He says, these retinas are like cancer.
First of all, I just want to make sure y'all understand the level of what y'all looking at right now. Y'all really understand what y'all looking at?
I'm about to go watch this whole damn video when we get done.
I'm like, do y'all really understand what y'all looking at right now? This motherfucker is directly in the line, the descendancy line of Nikola Tesla, of his knowledge, of Nikola Tesla's knowledge. So Nikola Tesla passed his information on to Otis T. Carr. Otis T. Carr passed his knowledge on to this guy, to Ralph, I forgot his last name. But so what they're saying is they took Nikola's shit, built up on it, and then they understood vibration and frequency, were able to build flying saucers that travel through time through vibration. Not my movement, through literal vibration. He said, focus on the color turquoise or whatever it was. Turquoise, or whatever color it is, has a definite frequency or vibration, just like we saw in cymatics. Whatever form has a definite frequency. No matter what it is in the universe, it has a vibration or frequency. That's what he's trying to say. So literally, he's like, okay, well, everybody, let's focus all on this vibration right here. Boom, instantaneous. As we were looking at, there is no travel time in the field because you're already connected. You're already there.
Oh, it's like what you told us when you said we're just like the radio, and it's just, can we find the damn channel? Like it's
exactly. Yes. So the reason they didn't feel anything because you don't travel from point to point. You're already there. Like you can bend time, you can bend points together, which that's a different thing. You guys will go over that eventually, but if you want to get to that sooner, look up Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was one of the dudes who worked at Area 51 and then S4, and he worked on the flying saucers when the crash happened at Roswell. They took those flying saucers. They took them to Area 51. Then they took them to S4. And this dude named Bob Lazar, he's the one who worked on them. So they deconstructed it, and everything that this dude is saying about the flying saucers was pretty much what Bob Lazar was saying about the extraterrestrial flying saucers. That the flying saucer was more of an entity. The extraterrestrials had to connect with it and fly it like that, and how it bent space and time, so it didn't fly through time. It didn't fly through a wormhole. How it would travel through space and time. It would bend time. It would bend space and time. So it's breaking that shit off, usually by a frequency or by a vibration. So he's basically everything this dude is saying. And I don't even know if he knows about Bob Lazar, but they're saying the exact same stuff.
They're flashing at milliseconds. He had another model, and we put it up, but he was going to accelerate beyond. He says, these retinas are like cameras, are flashing at milliseconds. And when you flash fast enough, things seemingly disappear. So with that in mind, here's our next demonstration. So we fired this one up, and we were all watching it, and I was getting ready to put my hand in it, and the whole thing disappeared right in front of us. He said it's quite simple. Tesla did this all the time in his laboratory, and it's teleported. He said, well, where did it go? He said, well, it might have landed on somebody's dining room table. I don't know, because I don't know yet where it went. And I don't know if it'll come back. Maybe it'll show up someday. Maybe it's gone. Maybe it's still there. But we just don't see it. So we don't see it, yeah. And it's out of our dimension. And he explained that the mind, when you tune yourself high enough and you get into the mind space instead of the brain space, instead of logic or instead of reasoning or instead of all those things, you just get up to a sense of knowing. You know who and what you are, that you're a creative, immortal, infinite being, and we all are.